terms gangsta with you, aka OG Pickety. I'm hanging out with the big homie Hankin TV. Make sure y'all subscribe, support the brother. We out here doing big things. It's all good, baby. Y'all see we free. We out here enjoying life. Wah. I want y'all to stop the violence, say no to drugs, and put these guns down. I'm out, baby. Gotta go.
This is a certified hood classic.
I used to be in my feelings, then I turned up and got a spot. I can't say how much I made in that bitch, I just know it was a lot. I don't care no more if she love me for real, long as she love my knot. They say, you hitting them with too much drip. I know I got a mop. I put my flow in the microwave, I know I got to blow, now it's hot. I was way too far ahead of my time, I had to slow down and stop. Before I pull up to the honeycomb, I got to go round the block. Looking in blind spots for any nigga think he on the low trying to plot. Go ahead.
Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to Hankin TV, man. You feel what I'm saying? That's my boy. He put dope content over there.
What's up with it? It's your boy JT. If I say I done it, I did it. And I got my main man in the house tonight, the real Glaze Gibbs. And I got it pinned right there on the screen. That's his YouTube. I need everybody to go over there and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Now, I got my man, the infamous Glaze Gibbs, which was in the past. You know what I'm saying? We on a whole new different path right now, man. So before we get to the story, man, let's just talk about some of the things that you into now, so people know we're not glorifying our past lives.
You know what? What I'm into now is coaching, counseling, training, man. How do we save these young guys out there that thinking that street life that's what it's all about, man? How do we stop them from picking up that brick, throwing at that multi-billion-dollar prison system for absolutely nothing because they trying to prove a point? They want to be cool. They want to be down. They want to be part of something that don't really exist.
Okay, then before we get into it, man, if you could go back and change anything, would you change anything?
Yeah, I would, man. Because once again, when you sit back and you look at it, man, when you got blood on your hand, that's a heavy burden to carry. You got blood. I got plenty of blood in my hand. And it's a lot of things, man, like, I reflect back upon and wishing that I never got caught up into that lifestyle, that situation. I always reflect back to situation. I had a anger management issue. And even right now, when I got upset, I lost it. And any and everything can happen, not knowing I had mental illness. So a lot of times you can't get help for something that you don't even know that you have it, that you have an illness, that you have a problem.
Right. And I think that's becoming a big topic now, man, in the African American community, man. We neglected our mental illness for a long time, And like you said, a part of it come from people trying to be cool, trying to fit in, thinking what other people will think about them. But if you can state, you know what I'm saying, without asking no questions, it's too policey, man, how many bodies were you charged with?
How many bodies was I charged with? I pled guilty to 5 murders, 2 attempt murders. I got acquitted on 1 murder. And at one point in time, from June 1987 till November 88, they accused me of having a body a week.
Now that we got that addressed, now we about to go back to the beginning, man. Tell everybody where you from, man.
I'm original for this little small country you probably never heard of, Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, how was it growing up in Brooklyn, New York?
Like I said, you had the good, the bad, the ugly. Like a lot of times people do not even understand your circumstance because you're too young to understand. When you're a kid, you don't got no bills and responsibility, and it's not like I ever went to sleep hungry. It's not like I ever didn't have nowhere to stay. So a lot of times right now is like, understanding the economical standpoint of the geographical area that you grew up at the time, you thought it was normal.
Right. And I kind of believe in fate. I don't believe in too much karma, but I do believe in fate, man. You was born in the backseat of a police car. Do you think that played like any part in like fate or karma?
You know what, man? No, not really. Because once again, you know what, back then, when people was giving birth, and at NYPD got there before EMT, first come, first served. And when that woman, water burst and the delivery come, it didn't matter whether I was delivered in the back seat or the front seat. Plenty of people besides Brian Glaze Gibbs got delivered in the back seat of a police car. And so that's just something that I say, like right now is if I would have been born in the front seat of the police car, my life probably could have been different. But nah, it's like we are in control of our own destiny. I can look at it and blame everybody for what went wrong in my life. Oh, poor me. I can't do that, man. Reality is reality. You got a lot of people that had it far worse than I are living a law-abiding, productive life and doing great.
Right. Man, you're pretty famous yourself, not, what I'm saying, for being for some of the people you rubbed elbows with and connected with. You've been connected to some pretty famous people like Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichlos, Pappy Mason, the real 50 Cent, Haitian Jack. So how was it growing up, man? How did you, know what I'm saying, step into the life?
Wanting to be down, wanting to be a part of something. Back then, everybody to me, a lot of times, like I know growing up in New York, the fashion capital of the world, you jump off the porch because you want to be fly. So being that you want to be fly, you go out there robbing, stealing, burglarizing, doing any and everything you can to get that fresh look, to get that fresh cake, that fresh pants, shirt, coat, hat. Then right now, where people don't understand, it's almost like a drug. Like people being addicted to drug. So when I'm addicted to if I want to get high, I don't want to get high, I want to stay high. If I want to get fly, I don't want to get fly, I want to stay fly. So you constantly keep going out there committing crime to make fast money to buy these clothes, to stay fly. So that's the same thing with a crackhead or an addict. They constantly doing whatever it takes to go out there to commit that crime to make that money to stay high.
Right. So we already know, man, you were an enforcer. You was an enforcer, you know what I'm saying? You talked about the body you had. So what was some of the first crimes that you committed?
Burglaries, burglaries, breaking in people's homes, climbing terrace, sneaking in. Yeah.
And then in the 80s, the crack epidemic hit, man, and it tore our nation up. And you was kind of knee deep in the game. How did you get into selling drugs?
Like once again, if you make the right decisions,
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Hold on, y'all. We're about to get back to it. Let me get him back in. Okay, there we go. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm gonna resend the link. Hold on, y'all. I'm about to get him back. Bam. There we go. All right, there we go. I resent the link out. We're about to get into it now. All right, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's cool. Okay, we was talking about how you got into selling drugs.
Like I say, when you mess up, catching felony at an early age from the burglaries and robbery case, you go away, do big. When you get out, who the heck gonna give you a job when you got like 4 felony convictions? And then if you get a job, you're gonna get a minimum wage job. So when you want to, like I say, make that money and survive, you got caught up into that drug game. And the crazy part about that, years ago, I used to always say to myself, because you watch what drugs do to people, and then they destroy them, and how they be strung out and sleeping on the street and looking all bad. And you made a commitment. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell drugs. But like I tell you, you can never say what you're going to do until that time comes.
Right. And you talked about having numbers, you know what I'm saying, being in the penitentiary, not getting jobs. Man, how was it, you know what I'm saying, your first time in Rikers Island?
Well, Rikers Island was rough, man. Rikers Island was gladiator school, man. Like, any and everything goes. So once again, a few times that I went through Rikers Island when I was 16 years old, I can remember the first time I went through Rikers Island, I was on that old itchy covers, you know what I'm saying, like January 1988, like scared to death, freezing cold because it's winter, and people do not understand, right? Because Island on that water, man, right there, and it's LaGuardia Airport right there. So it's on that water, and it's cold in all outdoors, especially in the winter of 80. And I can remember, man, like, going through there a couple times, getting beat up, robbed with my shoes or my sneakers or whatever. And you know what? You learn how to beat the system. You learn how to survive. So I went from being that little scary boy on Rikers Island to when I got into my adult age, they kicked me off Rikers Island. He can't be on Rikers Island. He's a menace.
Right. Now you got documentaries on your channel, The Real Brian Glaze Gibbs. I've seen you on Vlad. I've seen a lot of interviews on you, man. And all of them, they kind of tell your life story, talk about the bad. I'm just want to paint a picture for the people of where you've been, where you come from. But in this interview, man, we're gonna focus on the positive, but I'm only gonna touch on the bad, really just to paint a picture for people and let them see that people can change no matter how society views us or how we've been looked at. So you started the group Eminem. So how did that come about?
Getting acquitted for murder, getting back there on the street. One person can't do it by themselves. So I got a bunch of guys, saying, together, and we established a group called Eminem. It's like we had an organization called a Round Table that Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichlos established. See, that's why I say it gets you kind of pissed off when you start hearing all these other, guys, saying like from the metropolitan New York area, they start talking about certain things. And it's like, hold on, wait a minute here, man. You see these new guys going black now. Oh, we this, we that. Oh, we had the Round Table. Fat Cat Nichlos was the first person that started the Round Table. And who he gave rings to, $40,000 ring, pinky rings to. He was the first one. Howard Pappy Mason, Gerald Prince Miller, Supreme McGriff, Bug Out, Emery Matthew, and Brian Glaze Gibbs. So when I look at that and I listen to these guys now, oh yeah, we had the round table, we had this and that. I say, and it's kind of like to the degree, like sometimes you just gotta let it go because clowns gonna be clowns. Everybody gonna try to toot their horn. And like I always try to tell people, like one thing about me, man, honestly speaking, is I was a sick individual in the street back in those days. And I used to let my emotions supersede my intellect and black out. And when I blacked out, only thing I saw was red blood. But it's like you have to grow away from that. It took the death of my mother to help me to understand the pain and suffering that I inflicted directly, indirectly upon the victim and victim family. And with that type of pain, you wouldn't wish upon your worst enemy. But like when you start listening to some of these individuals, like now with these social media, people can say and do what they want to say and all this other stuff. I got this character talking trash about me now. And I'm like, listen to this guy. I'm saying right now, you big, fake, muscle bound dudes, like you don't even get it. Like if and then when you listen to people, he came up with an accusation that because I call him out. Some people broke it down to this guy did 21 years, but when he was away, he was part of this program, and he was a jailhouse snitch. on a download. So, everybody want to call people rat and call people snitch. But wait a minute. I made a deal for my freedom. I made a deal to get spared like a death penalty. So when you got guys like, I call them sneaky rat, sneaky snitch. When you got guys that in the penitentiary and you become a jailhouse rat for nothing, for commissary, or to have special privilege. And then when you find out who these individual is, because some of these cats think because they blow up, they big muscle bound. Man, I used to tear these like big muscle bound. I used to love them because they think they tougher than what they are, and they don't even quite understand it. It's not in the muscle. It's here. It's the brain. It's the heart. And then I'll watch the individual that they socialize with, and I'm like looking at these characters. Some of these guys I done went to war with and then split open, you know what I'm saying, on Rikers Island or whatever. So when a guy came because he got mad because I exposed him, so he go like this, well, that's why, there was a booty band that he raped you. I'm like, huh? I'm like, right now, it's like, sometimes when you hear stuff, I said, when this happened? I said, so when you sit back and think about different things and you listen to these clowns, I said, look, man, anybody know anything about me? Like my reputation spoke for itself. And they know automatically, this, it's no, besides me making a deal. That's the only tarnish, like from that street life stuff. But anything other than that, like I say, people used to be scared of death because once again, you know who's who and what's what. But when people can't come at you a certain way, then they try to attack you another way. And you know what? It is to me sometimes it's like humor.
Right. And like you were saying, can nobody never take the stand and said you put them in jail?
See, and you know what? That's the problem. And people don't like that. I'm telling them, yeah, I made a deal. Anytime you sit down with these people and you talk to them, you're making a deal. And like people do not understand right now, they say, well, you know what? Well, you never took the stand. Well, your Cody Finner copped out. No, my Cody Finner didn't. You know what I'm saying? Howard Pappy Mason went to trial. I didn't testify against him. My brother Mark Gons went to trial. I didn't testify against him. My man Herman brother went to trial. So I'm listening to this stuff, and they go like this, well, your brother got paperwork out. I don't give a damn if my brother got paperwork out. He made a deal. So once again, like I know what I did. I live in my truth. I'm not one of those sneaky snitch that people don't know about it. My shit came out April 13, 1989 in a newspaper. And so I'm not running for nothing. So to me, only thing I'm ashamed about getting caught up in that lifestyle in the first place. But as far as right now is, guess what? Yeah, I made a deal. I got a new name, new idea. I got new everything. And like I tell you, I don't run away from that. But once again, who the heck, when you get out of jail, you right now got a bunch of felony and a bunch of bodies. Who gonna give you a job?
Right. So I've talked about it on my channel before, you know what I'm saying? I got a body myself. When I was in the streets, you know what I'm saying, I was busting that gun. And I regret it. You know what I'm saying? I always ask myself if I go back and change anything, would I change anything? No, I wouldn't, because it made me who I am. It made me into the person I am today, man. But how was it for you? Like you said, you seen red, man. What was the feeling for you when you caught your first body?
You lost it. You in a different world, man. You're not human. You inhumane. Like, to me, and that's what people don't understand. There's no coming back from that. So a lot of times right now where it's like, it was like being out there, being caught up, being in too deep.
Definitely being in too deep. And then like we were talking about the streets and the rats and people labeling people as rats. But one thing we need to talk about what people overlook in the street is sneaky friends and how your friends will cross you out. And I said earlier that you had rubbed elbows and you was familiar with Haitian Jack. And his own friends try to get you to kill him.
Yeah. And you know what? Like I say, I can't even say they were still friends at the time. I knew they kind of like they was close at one point in time. And, based upon my reputation, look, man, we'll give you anything. We want you to take them out. And to me, even back then, I'm making $40,000 a day. All money is not good money. But because you got a reputation, you got a name, and whatever the situation may have been with them, I don't know. I didn't took the time to ask, but they just wanted me, we name the price. And we'll pay you anything that you want. And see, a lot of times people are like, well, oh, if that was the case, why you didn't take it? For what? All money ain't good money. And people don't understand that. And like to me, I'm all right. Don't get me wrong, if I was hungry and starving, he would have been free lunch. But once again, when you go against the grain, eventually the grain is gonna go against you.
Right. So you spoke to Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichlos, man. For the people who don't know, man, tell them who Fat Cat Nichlos is.
Fat Cat was one of the biggest player, you know what I'm saying, during the 80s. Everywhere you went, everybody talked about Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichlos through the metropolitan area. So he probably was one of the biggest player, you know what I'm saying, at that time. But he'd been in jail for what? Going on 38 years. So he spent majority of his life in jail. So once again, was it worth it?
And how did you link up with him?
You know, I'm from Rikers Island, being in jail, beating a murder charge. I met Pappy on the street, and I had a body, and Pappy had the parole officer murder, and Cat was already on the island fighting his drug charge, and later they indicted for his parole officer murder. So right now was being on the island, raising hell, walk around with like them saying $5,000-$10,000 worth of jewelry on your neck and wrist. People like, oh, wait a minute, who this guy? So, you know, you build a reputation. And right now is once I got acquitted, everybody start, yo, I want you to be down with me. I want you to be down with me. I want you to be down with me.
Right. And they say you live by the gun, you die by the gun, man. Can you say that you can identify some times that you actually look death in the face yourself?
Mm-hmm. You know what? Like I told you, I always sit back and think about a lot of times, man. You know, I done got shot at a few times. You know, and every time right now, I always say to myself, God must be new if I got shot in my foot, got shot in my pinky or whatever, I would have died. But don't get me wrong, I was the type, if I see you coming and I'm not right, I'm going to do like DMC say, run, run, run. I'm not going to like shoot. Nah, man, because once again, you know, like your opposition. And to me, like right now, if you got me, what am I supposed to do? You know, it's a different. The objective is to win. I can't win if I'm dead. Okay. I can't win if I'm up in the hospital, like I'm saying, a coma. I can't win. So the bottom line, the best thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna like, hey, run. So and I'll get you another day. I'm not gonna be over there shoot me. You know what I'm saying? Nah, later for that. That's that knucklehead stuff, man. So you know, like I say, there's a few situations I ran into. One time I ran into a situation where these guys had me. They had me locked down in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section. And right now is when I seen them, it was too late. I'm on my P's and Q's. And right now, when I'm like, oh, man, it was like right now, one young lady stood out there the whole time, and her sister drove up in my car. And right now is when I seen them, I'm like, I had to play it, man. It was like a poker. It was a stare down. So right now is they came up on me. One of the guys, we grew up together, he embraced me. He felt the bulletproof vest, and he said, you right. And I'm fronting, yeah, I'm fronting. I'm going for the Academy Award. I said, yeah, I stayed right. Because he felt the vest and he thought that I was strapped, but I wasn't. So right now is I'm standing there looking at one of them in their face and like a stare down contest. And it became a situation, my man, like, come on, man, you my man, he my man, y'all got to squash that. And what wound up happening was I said, yo, look, man, I appreciate the fact when I was fighting the murder charge, you want to come see me. I appreciate the fact that, right now you ask me if I need anything done, you'll take care of it. I just want to know one thing. Did you kill my man Wood that just recently had passed? So he called me up and tell me, yo, look, the homicide detective's looking at you for his body, despite I ain't had nothing to do with it. But prior to Wood die, we had a big altercation. So right now, a few days later, he's dead. They looking at me. So my man said the word. So I asked him, did he kill Wood? And he looked me in my eyes. And he told me, if you kill somebody, well, you told me. So, he basically told me he did. So that's all I need to know. But the reason they didn't kill me, because they saw me, and it was 3 against 1. The reason why they didn't kill me, because they thought I was strapped. And they felt they could have got me, but I got one of them, and they didn't want to be that one.
Right. And then, speaking of looking death in the face, it was a time when you found out some of your own friends was conspiring to kill you.
Yeah, like I laugh about that, man. You know what? Like I told you, my man 50 Cent, the original 50 Cent, conspired to kill me when I came on, when I got acquitted. He set up a move while I was in jail, and I was gonna get it taken care of, and then he wound up, basically right now ran his mouth. So that's what part of the reason got him killed. Then some other cats that I grew up with when I came home after I got quitted, they didn't want to give me no jammy, they didn't want to give me no bullet, they didn't want to give me anything. And right now it's like, because they knew my mentality, my attitude, when my emotions supersede my intellect, I was like a walking time bomb. So my man told me, yo, man, look, we was conspiring to kill you. And I laughed like that fat lady in Coney Island because y'all not even on my level. But see, that's the problem. When you got a death wish and you can't underestimate, you can't sleep on nobody.
Right. And you talked about being friends with the original 50 Cent. Another person who you was friends with that drew a lot of publicity and people like to talk about is Walter King Tut Johnson, the guy that was accused of shooting Robin Tupac in Quad Studios. How did you meet him?
Oh, I met Tut in the 6th grade when I first moved from Bedford-Stuyvesant to East New York. We lived in the same building, 455 Fountain Avenue. My family lived on the 6th floor, and his family lived on the 2nd floor.
Right. So New York, man, back in the 80s, man, it was real treacherous. We always hear the stories about AZ Faison, Rich Porter, Alpo Martinez. Did you ever have any run-ins with them?
I'm saying passing, me and Alpo have a better relationship towards the end because right now where it's like, and people don't even understand that Alpo wasn't like how people try to make him out to be. I think right now where it's like, he just got caught up. He was trying to get it together, find his way.
Right. And I was watching one interview where you was telling the story about where you had a guy and you got him in the car and he was going he had robbed one of your spots. That's what it was. You talk about that situation?
Nah, not really. Certain things of, all of which one you talking about, man?
The guy, he had robbed your spot and he told the workers that
oh yeah
the same person did it.
Yeah, and like I said right now, even with that situation, that was a situation that, honestly speaking, a guy you grew up. He was like an older guy and you looked up to him. And sometime right now, those are the people that get you, people that, right now that you once have a relationship with. So right now that's how I caught my first body.
That was your first body or your first shooting?
One body.
So how long was you on the run from the feds?
90 days.
So can you take us back to Labor Day weekend in 1988?
Labor Day weekend 1988. It was slightly different because once again, you out there, and when you out there, it's a situation where, as far as right now, where what took place is you on a run. What can you do? They're looking for you. So even though that they're looking for you, you're just trying to keep things and put things in perspective. Everybody you see that's not black, you thinking is the feds. And what wound up happening with that, you just learn to put things in perspective and say, like, man, like you're trying to get plastic surgery, you're trying to do different things. And even with that being said, give me a second. Even with that being said, you just more or less like put things in perspective and like trying to understand like what's going on. So with that being said, is like my whole situation, my whole world during that period turned around. It changed.
Right. And like I was saying earlier, man, everybody are familiar with you for as saying you was an enforcer, in the bodies and stuff like that. And you said if you could go back, you wouldn't change nothing. But what are some of the things?
No. I did not say that. I said I wouldn't have got caught up into that lifestyle.
Well, wouldn't got caught in that lifestyle. Okay, so what are some of the things you're doing now to kind of right some of your wrongs?
You know what? I wrote a couple of books, Beyond Lucky, the Brian Glaze Gibbs story, a true story of crack money, murder, and redemption. I did a couple of audio books. And like I tell you right now, Wiz, I go different places and like do speaking engagement. And you try to, like you say, coach, counsel, and train the younger generation to get them to understand there's no shortcut in life. Only thing come fast is trouble, easy to get into, hard to get out. You get them to deal with the reality of what's out there. Don't get tricked by that internet. Don't get tricked, saying when you're watching these videos and you're watching these guys out there, and you see them with the fancy cars and the jewelry and the girls and the big house. All that stuff is a front. All that stuff is an act. All that stuff is temporarily.
Right. And then, like we know, man, everything come to an end. So how did things finally start like hitting the rocks for your circle and for your crew?
Really the police murder. Once that police got killed, it was over.
And that's the one they had charged Pappy Mason with.
Yeah, eventually.
So what were some things, what's some of the things you would tell the youth today, man, to stay out of the way?
You know what? Develop work habit, work ethic, get a job, go to school, get as much as you can out of school. Spend more time studying it on social media, man. Build your credit, know your credit score. We're at 15, 16, 17. Save, invest, spend wisely.
Right. So how much time did you end up doing?
A total of 15 years combined.
So what are some of the things that you did while you was in prison, like to change, better yourself?
Like I say, a lot of reading, a lot of soul searching, meditating, exercise, so wrote my book.
Right. And if people want to get your book, how can they get it?
Right now is if you can go to Amazon. It's always available on Amazon. But if you want a signed copy, in order to get your signed copy, you know what I'm saying, and I'll throw in Straight from the Street Volume 1 and Straight from the Street Volume 2 audiobook. Email me to place your order, Brian, Brian, Gibbs, Gibbs, 1201 at yahoo.com.
Right. And what's some other things you got going on?
Like I said right now, is I can't really discuss. It's like, first of all, you don't want to jinx yourself, but there's a few projects that, I got a few people working on. And like I told you before Corona, we was about to shoot the series about my life. Once Corona hit, it's a few snag here, a few snag there, and things haven't been the same. So it's like right now we got a few projects getting work. And like I said, if it's God will be done.
Right. And what's your YouTube channel?
The Real Brian Glaze Gibbs. It's the Real Brian Glaze Gibbs YouTube channel. So right now is my old YouTube channel is Brian Glaze Gibbs YouTube channel with 64,300 subscribers, 942 videos, and over 10 million views. That I lost asset to that channel back in November. So I had to start a new one.
Right. I just want to address one of the questions somebody had in the comments. Or you was talking about growing up, staying fresh. Somebody wanted to know that did you ever shop at Dapper Dan's?
Yeah, I got a few items from Dapper Dan, but it's like right now where it's like, it's like to me by that time, you was more like the older I got, like I left the street. I became Brian Glaze Gibbs between the age of 14 and 24. The older I got, it was more of some sleek stuff. You want to dress sleek, like, more or less like, dressy. Like, a lot of the Dapper Dan stuff is more casual, more like urban. But once again, it's like, I used to get on a plane a lot. So my objective is right now is ballet, dress shoes, suits, shirt, tie. It's like it was just different look. It was more of and if I want to get like, urban, I'm gonna put on a Fiat suit, a Fiat sweatsuit or something like that or whatever. So with Dapper was good, but then again, it was, everybody each his own.
Right. So what's your social medias?
Excuse me?
What's your social medias where people can reach you at?
Brian Glaze Gibbs on IG. That's my handle. And right now I got a TikTok. I think it's the Real Brian Glaze Gibbs.
Right. Well, like I was saying in the beginning, man, everybody they focus on the bad, you know what I'm saying? We touched on it just to paint a picture, man. Like I said, I really wanted to touch on the positive, the things you got going on now. Like I was telling everybody, go and subscribe to the Real Brian Glaze Gibbs YouTube channel, man. I appreciate you for coming through. And everybody hit him up and get that book. And I'm also going to hit you up also for my copy.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. And you know what? And that's what people don't understand. What we did. We say we're going to do something. And that's what we want to get people to be people, men and women of their word. If you say you're going to do something, say what you do, mean what you say and say what you mean. A lot of people don't even understand that. It's like right now, where it's like to me and you had a gentleman agreement. And if I say I got you, once I say that, that was only thing we have our word. You can work for $1 billion. If your word ain't nothing, you ain't nothing. So once again, like with us, we agree, this is what we're gonna do. We got a mutual friend, you know what I'm saying, Terrence Gangsta William. You know.
Right. All right, man. I appreciate you for coming through, man. I'm gonna be hitting you up probably about like 10 minutes.
All right, my brother. Cool. All
okay,
right.
Thanks.
All right.
Yep. What's up, everybody? That was my guy Brian Glaze Gibbs, man. Go and subscribe to his channel, The Real Brian Glaze Gibbs, and hit him up for them books. That was deep. I mean, everybody had already been hitting me up. They was familiar with the story, so it really wasn't no sense in beating a dead horse. You know what I'm saying? I just want to focus on the positive and the things that he got going on now. Because like I said in the past on my channel, I've spoke about, you know what I'm saying, the things I've been through, you know what I'm saying, myself as well. I had a body and people judge you from your past and from being in prison. When I got out, man, I went to every temporary service in my city and couldn't get a job. But I kept pushing, and boom, here I am today, man. I want to thank everybody for coming through, man. I got some more dope interviews coming up this week. I got one tomorrow with my guy B-Mac, Brian McNichlos. He's the CEO of Studio Galleria. February the 2nd, I have a interview with the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Robert Sims. So make sure y'all come through and check me out, man. I'm out.